Media. The theme for October is deliverance, liberation, and freedom. Can you get a little lower? And yeah, thank you. An emphasis is on spiritual liberation, but there's a part of it all that we don't really talk about, and we're talking about it today. "70% of rapes are committed by people the victims know. 70% of rapes are committed by people the victims know. Male and female. Time helps you forget, they say. But how can I ever not remember this very pain? I have no gain not forgetting. This very heart that sends hot rage running wildly in my veins. It was a Monday. I was 15. He was family. He had called in sick, so Dad instructed I checked in and took care of him. I took care. Heaven knows I took care, but I was just not careful enough. There he laid, covered underneath the blankets, pretending to shiver. As I dished the beans porridge Mom had prepared. It was his favorite, the kind of beans that gets you messy. It was time to eat beans. But his appetite unreasonably craved something that should belong to my husband. The look in his eyes told a tale of hunger, one I had no intention to satisfy. He grabbed me. More than Nelson Mandela fought for South Africa, I contended for my freedom. But lust had put him on like Ashrebi. He was stronger than he was on a normal day. And like a prey pinned down by its predator in the wild, my struggle to escape was domesticated when he put a knife to my throat. My father's son eventually prevailed. I saw red. And like a traffic light, the blood on my dress, red, made him stop. I would have preferred I was caught by the knife, not by my own brother. So in case you are wondering, my name is Tama, and my story is found in 2 Samuel 13. And Tama put ashes on her head and rent her garment of diverse colors that was on her, and laid her hand on her head and went on crying. Tama remained desolate for the rest of her life in her elder brother's house. The emotional, physical, and spiritual pain we experience, the pain we feel when we experience loss, it is called grief. It's called grief. Naomi would always remember how special Elimelech made her feel. When she looked at herself through his own eyes, she was the most beautiful woman she had ever seen. He loved her with all his being on their 30th anniversary as he had on their wedding day. Elimelech was her absolute love, the love of her life. And in March, he urgently needed a kidney, but there was no match. Not even hers. Elimelech's body was as cold as a freezer. His heart stopped 3 days ago. But she would push his dead body, lay beside him. After all, two are better than one, for if one is cold, the other is there to keep him warm. It was crazy. His corpse had begun to stink, but she still hoped for a miracle. How do you comfort someone that is still in denial? So one day, she would kneel down to pray to the God of Abraham. It had been 3 years, but the death of Elimelech still hurt like a big fresh wound. And so she prayed for healing. She was still praying when Opa ran in, her daughter-in-law. A building had just collapsed. Mahlon and Chilion, Naomi's sons, were exhumed with no trace of life. You never come out from one, and that one, they happen. Sons of her youth, her babies, the only evidence that she ever loved or was loved by a man. Don't call me Naomi. Don't call me pleasantness. Even God doesn't call me Naomi. Call me bitter. Call me bitter. Sometimes, get as life go take nod you. You don't go one Panadol, you don't go one paracetamol. You go just like me, they just cut your head, come out. You go just want rest. The emotional, physical, and spiritual pain we experience when we are faced with loss. It's called grief. Master, the one you love is sick. When Mary poured oil on Jesus' feet and wiped it with her hair, she never thought that what she intended to symbolize as preservation in Jesus' burial will eventually be death pulling a checkmate card on Lazarus. Death killed Lazarus. And as our personalities differ, our responses to this thing called grief differs. Martha would run out to meet with the Lord, but Mary, the Lord needed to meet with her. And like Job, Martha bargained with the Lord, dissecting faith and theological theses on resurrection and the second chances after death. But Martha could not bargain. Mary, rather, could not bargain. Like the Shunammite woman, she just fell flat at the feet of the Lord, hoping for a miracle, but she was too broken to ask for one. And Jesus listened. Grief, the side effect of loss nobody wants to talk about. The elephant in the room, the culprit. He poured ashes on Tamar's head, ripped her colorful clothes, took her from daylight into the dark room for the rest of her life. He frustrated the woman with the issue of blood after the loss of her health. Still, she damned the consequences and touched the hem of Jesus' garment. He broke the heart of the woman, the widow in 2 Kings 4, whose husband had just died and left a huge debt, financial loss. Grief. He even broke Job's marriage of over 20 years. When you wake up in the morning to the scream of your wife, she's bleeding, the baby is not moving, and the doctor says it was a miscarriage. When your finances and your health have passed the phone a friend stage and now it's 50-50 or walk away, life is drilling you on the hot seat and Frank Edoho is not there to help you. When the person you're building with dumps you like a cola can in the trash few days to your wedding. Dieba, an okra kind of breakfast, the one with a draw. A grieving Christ, grieving exactly as we do, feeling grief as heavy as we feel it. My God, why have you forsaken me? The weight of his grief rending the earth and making heaven silent. This is our reality. We share life with this high priest that understands where the thing they pinch. You know, the parable of the lost coin and the lost sheep, the shepherd leaving the 99 to find the one, is not more a story about salvation than it is about how God responds to loss. In a deeper sense, a promise of eternal restoration is how God helps us deal with our own loss, but evangelism is how we help him deal with his. Grief must be shared, though. It must be shared. When we look at Jairus' daughter, Lazarus, Eutychus, Dorcas, and even Jesus, we see healing that happens when the church shares grief. Mourn with those that mourn and rejoice with those that rejoice. Compassion is the only relief we have from grief. And today makes it 1 year since I last held his hands in mine. No pulse. I paused to check for one. Maybe the doctors had made a mistake. As his body was wheeled to the morgue, I felt my heart leave. I was choked by my own tears. It seemed like grief had a crush on me. I was trying so hard to get my attention. My father, the lightest sleeper I ever knew, refused to wake up even when his wife wept loudly. The perfect essay for a day I would never forget. So in August, 10 months later, Nemirim clears his papers and I still pick up my phone to say, hello. Then grief reminds me that we never heal from grief. We just find a way to manage it. The Lord is close to all whose hearts are crushed by pain. He heals the wounds of every shattered heart. He will wipe away every tear from their eyes and eliminate death entirely. No one will mourn or weep any longer. The pain of wounds will no longer exist, for the old order would cease. God cares about your grief.